We indeed have quite a lot of user cases. So for example, sending medicines, you see the trials.
Välkommen
till Logistikpodden.
Om logistik,
Transport
och supply chain management.
Varmt välkommen till Logistikpodden. Idag ska vi prata om drönare. Vi har forskaren Lei Chen från RISE. Intervjun kommer till och med att vara på engelska, vilket normalt är inte någonting vi gör i Logistikpodden. Så det ska bli riktigt kul att få lära oss mer om vad drönare används till. Han har några riktigt coola projekt att berätta om. Och användningsområden som de flesta av oss kanske inte ens har funderat på att man kan använda drönare till. Så att fantasin kommer att kittlas rejält, var så säker. Och innan vi träffar Lei så ska vi än en gång återbesöka vår samarbetspartner Bring som kommer att berätta mer om sin fulfillmenttjänst Shelfless.
Rickard Slättmyr är ansvarig för Shelfless Norden-etablering.
Och förra veckan fick vi stifta bekantskap med Shelfless och vi kommer få lära oss ännu mer nästa vecka. Men varför Shelfless egentligen? Varför behövs den här tjänsten?
Shelfless, det är en satsning på ett nätverk av fulfillment center i Norden med en kombinerad transportlösning. Och på toppen självklart av det här så är det en digital lösning framför allt som möjliggör enkelhet, snabbhet med onboarding och stöd i våra kunders hela affär faktiskt.
Ja, men det här nätverket då, vad kan man som kund förvänta sig?
Man kan förvänta sig att vi erbjuder och kan erbjuda same day-lösningar i Storstockholm och med omnöjd samma dag och next day i övriga landet i Sverige. Nordiskt så kan man också erbjuda en lösning på samma sätt till då lokala svenska e-handlare som vill ut i Norden. Så alla storstäderna kommer att ha och möjliggöra same day via det här nätverket av fulfillment centers. Och man kan själv välja självklart var man vill lägga sina produkter, men vi erbjuder den lösningen.
Ja, vi fick ju höra en del om Shelfless redan i förra avsnittet. Något som jag funderar på är hållbarhetsaspekten. Är det någonting som ni har funderat på och integrera på något sätt i tjänsten? Ja,
den är enormt viktig i erbjudandet då vi alla konsumenter förhoppningsvis framåt också samtliga värnar om den biten med hållbarhet. Det är med allt ifrån solceller på våra nya fulfillment center vi bygger till att det är fossilfritt och även en energi och elektricitet vi använder för den byggnaden vi etableras i. Sen är det självklart transporterna enormt viktigt och allting handlar om delningsekonomi för att få ner carbon footprint om det nu är fossila bränslen. Men vi har ju ett stort satsningsområde på att byta ut alla våra bilar och lastbilar och även kan man se i Stockholm, även i Göteborg och större städer så är det helt elektrifierat och även cykelbud har vi. Men det görs mycket på den fronten och vi satsar enormt mycket på det.
Och ni har ju etablerat er redan i Osloområdet och nu är det Stockholm som är på gång. Hur ser framtidsplanerna ut?
Framtiden är att etablera oss i varje nordiskt land och Køge i Danmark har vi faktiskt att vi har börjat grävt och marken är på plats. Det är till och med så att vår sprinkleranläggning är på plats. Där driftsätter vi i Q1 2023, så det är relativt snart om ett år. Och då ska vi erbjuda den danska marknaden samma lösning som vi har i den svenska och den norska.
Shelfless har ju också en digital komponent i sig. Vad innebär egentligen en digital lösning i form av en fulfillmenttjänst?
Jag skulle säga det att det är den viktigaste delen för att fysisk hantering kan vem som hantera faktiskt. Och det blir en commodity framåt och vilket det är idag. Man är rätt och utbytbar om du är transportör. Lagerpartner kan enkelt byta men det är det digitala som syr ihop allting. Och tittar man på den digitala delen för Shelfless så är det faktiskt i hela kundens, e-handlarens resa från att man är startup tills att man blir stor, att kunna anpassa sig till deras arbetssätt och deras situation. Och det är allt ifrån appar till de stora e-handelsplattformarna som vi utvecklar, så det är enkelt att omborda själv. Det är API-er och ett integrationsgränssnitt vi har på plats så att det är enkelt för deras utvecklare och integrationsmänniskor att koppla upp sig när man blir större. Så vi kan också koppla in oss mot respektive affärssystem och e-handelsplattform och marknadsplatser. Och den är en av de viktigaste delarna för oss att lyckas framåt.
Krävs det någonting av mig då som liten aktör som är sugen på att använda tjänsten? Vad behöver jag ha på min ände för att det ska funka?
Egentligen, det viktiga det är egentligen att du har schyssta produkter och att man har en tro på sig själv och det man gör. Sen är det ju ofta självprodukter när det gäller e-handelssystem som man kan nyttja. Och vi hjälper till där med, som sagt, vi har appar till de flesta e-handelssystem som är ute på marknaden. Och det blir en enkel och snabb onboarding och mycket self-service.
Kommer jag som konsument att märka på något sätt att det är den här typen av lösning som min e-handlare har valt?
Vi är ju som logistiker och supply chain verkar man i det dolda. Vi ska inte märkas, vi ska bara möjliggöra så att vi är en del i våra kunds affär. Det vill säga vi ska vara en del i den resan och möjliggöra att vi har enkelhet, snabbhet. Vi ska vara gröna. Samtidigt så ska man ha ett alternativ att välja på e-handlarens hemsida på checkouten. Den styr ju inte vi, det är våra kunder. Däremot så ska vi ha flera olika alternativ som är kopplat till oss inom shelfless. Men det ser ju inte e-handlare eller konsumenten. Utan det är e-handlaren som väljer de bitarna. Men väljer man oss så har vi en hel lösning som gör att det blir enkelt för e-handlaren. Och oss slutkonsumenter i slutändan också. Och det viktiga för oss är att vi hjälper våra kunder med konvertering självklart, men även att behålla lojala kunder. Och det är hela leveranslöftet och leveransförmågan viktig.
Och i nästa avsnitt så kommer vi få stifta bekantskap med Dream Logistics. Hur kom det här samarbetet till stånd och vad tar ni med er in i samarbetet?
Samarbetet, det var faktiskt jag som etableringsansvarig som ringde Jonas. Jag hade sett han i branschen. Han syns och har varit med gasellföretag i många år. De är minst 10 år om han agerat. Det som är intressant det är att de var och är fortfarande ungefär 80% av det shelfless vill vara. Så det vi såg snabbt det var att vi från Bring vill snabbt komma in, självklart med den kompetens som krävs inom området, men även den erfarenhet och förmågan som Dream Logistics har. Det var det som gjorde att vi valde att ta majoritetsägande.
Och för dig som är nyfiken på Jonas som heter Ahlgren i efternamn så kommer han att berätta mer om det i nästa vecka. Och vill ni veta mer kan ni redan nu gå in på Brings hemsida eller klicka på en länk som finns i våra show notes. Och med det så tackar vi Bring för samarbetet runt deras fulfillmenttjänst Shelfless som med detta bidrar till att hjälpa oss att sprida inspiration och kunskap om logistik, transport och supply chain management.
Today we're going to focus on future and the use of drones. And to guide us, we have Lei Chen with us from the RISE Institute. Could you please present who you are to our listeners?
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. My name is Lei Chen. I'm a senior researcher with RISE, a Research Institute of Sweden, working in Department of Mobility and Systems. My area is focusing on the connected automated mobility, including all the modes of mobility, of course, including drones that we are going to talk about today.
And we came in contact because I saw projects about drones and your name was involved in that. And when I've been talking about the transport system, I've been saying that we haven't really come up with any new solutions for transports. But drone is an exception from that, I think. And most of us see it more of a gadget, a toy. But what kind of problems do they actually solve that we haven't already solved with the existing transport systems?
I think you're right. Most of the drones has been used for private entertainment services. That's still the case. But what we see is that they have been more and more being used for other industry areas, for example, surveillance, and now we see also it might have a very good potential in the transportation area, especially for the last mile transport, because the drones will not be restricted by the road, by the traffic, and they are flexible, they are on demand, they are quick, and most importantly, they are energy efficient, which will fill the gap for the last mile transport for certain areas. I'm not saying it's for all the modes, but for certain areas, what we see now is, for example, in the rural areas, where there is a gap there. It takes time to send the small packages, for example, or medicine or those kind of small things. But then with drones, you could do that very easily. And you could do that within minutes. And that's completely emission-free and on demand. You just book and you get it. And that is actually what we need also in the big cities. But for big cities, it might take some time because of the environment.
Is that the use case we see now? Small stuff in cities, going to your balcony or to your sort of front porch or whatever. Is that sort of the driver right now?
I don't feel that is the driver. It is yes, it is the driver. Let's say, but it's not going to happen very soon in cities that send small packages to your balcony because of the obstacles in regulation and also technology collisions for potential for collisions, for example. But that is the driver by the demand of the consumers. They want their packages to be delivered as soon as possible. That is what is so-called "I want to get it now." It's driven by this, and this trend is growing. If you see that Amazon and those companies also provide you next day delivery or on-time delivery, but it is driven by this trend, and this trend is also the same in rural areas. They want their stuffs on time, but it usually takes several, probably extra days before, in comparison with the people living in cities, to get their packages. But I'm saying that this is the driver, but I'm thinking the viable solutions now, it might not be in the cities for now. Although of course, Amazon has been working this for some time, but we haven't seen really viable solutions that in big cities, in urban areas. But of course, you could send to the parks or something if you get the license. But still, massive transportation with last mile to the balconies is not yet there.
So I know there have been some test areas. I know the city of Logan in Australia, they have actually had deliveries of food with drones. Amazon, as you said. Have we any kind of projects or similar in Sweden that we actually have in a more industrial scale or a bigger scale?
The simple answer would be not yet. We indeed have quite a lot of user cases. For example, sending medicines, you see the trials. And Vinnova also have big costs regarding the usage of drones to promote the usage. But we haven't seen taking up of such services in Sweden in a larger scale. This is that is why we think we try to break the ice with our project. And focusing on the private sector. I mean, in the public sector, probably we have seen many user cases. SOS Alarm has been using drones to send heart starters, for example. Police has their also probably drone department. But in the private sector, we haven't seen where is the point that we can open this big area And that is exactly one of the reasons we start this project. And we hope this is the starting point in Sweden to start this journey in the last mile transport with drones.
So looking at drones, I can see at least 3 vectors of development that might be interesting for transport. One of them is handling of cargo, how the physical interface with the cargo, how you can pick it up, how you can drop it, those types of issues. And I think we see a lot of development going on there. The other one is automation, because you can drive a drone remotely today. The drone has a camera and you can have a pilot on the ground piloting the drone. But of course we want to automate them to create sort of highways in the sky where the drones just go by themselves, and maybe have a pilot taking over for the last 100 meters or something like that. And the third one is the energy infrastructure that is needed to supply them with energy. We see the battery density going. The energy density of batteries going up and the weight of batteries then going down. Thereby the range will increase, but you will also need, if you want to automate the drone system, you would need an energy infrastructure so that the drones can charge themselves or swap their batteries themselves or things like that. And all of these are sort of technological challenges.
Yes, you are correct regarding this. Let's start with the energy infrastructure. One of the challenges for the drones mass deployment, it might be the locations of the warehouses for drones and also the energy supplies, because drones will have to charge them frequently to deliver stuff. This is, of course, we will need to think about that when we plan the delivery. This is both a private sector and also public sector thing. When the municipality is planning their region for the people who live in rural areas, how the energy supplies will look like, how the infrastructure will look like. But at the same time, I also think there are different solutions regarding this. For example, you could place a charging place together with the shop, for example, and the drones will land there and charge, and then you just load the drones and the drones will fly. And of course, you could build quite many last mile drone warehouses that store the drones. But I see that there are challenges. Infrastructure will be one of them, and we need to look into that. And this is a part of our work to investigate together with the municipality to see how this could affect the urban planning or rural planning. What the other questions, the control of the drones, the operators. Control of the drones will be basically quite automatic, I would say. You book your order, food, and you require using the drone, and the drone will come. Will go to the place to pick up the package for you. All of things could be automated, and I think Google's Win has been doing those. There, of course, is like autonomous vehicles. You might need a operators to observe what's happening in case of emergencies or those kind of unexpected situations. But I think the labor needs will be much less compared with you drive cars or cargos to transport the stuff. It will be a big cost reduction in this aspect anyway. But of course, if you require new skills from the operator's side to observe the drones and in emergency situations to take control of the drones, for example.
I think we have two major parts where drones play a role. It can be its own system, as we've been talking about, delivering goods, but it can also be part of a larger system. And you mentioned surveillance before. I know that you have a project that you're involved in where you use drones as part of autonomous airports. Could you please give us some information about what that is and what kind of role does the drone play?
Yes, the drones is as a kind of vehicles, autonomous vehicles, same as ground vehicles. They will help to automate many of the tasks that used to be done by people, but that are trivial and that takes time, and especially in some environment, you have to drive the diesel vehicles probably, and that causes emission. So the objective with the previous project we have been doing together with the airport in Örnsköldsvik in North Sweden, and it's a test site for completely autonomous airport. That's a great vision from for example, Luftfartsverket to the air aviation, and also our project earlier, that the future airports, especially regional airports with not heavy traffic, that could be completely automated. And actually in Örnsköldsvik, it is a remote airport. There is no tower there. The tower was in another place, several hundreds kilometers away. But still, you need the people to work, for example, to check the fences for security reasons, to check the landing paths, and check the lights. So we started there. We think all those tasks could be automated, especially the security control. You have to drive a kind of tearing vehicles around the several kilometers of fences every day, several times. Think about how much emission that is going to introduce because of this, and you have to have people there. But using drones, you just need to schedule when you should go out to check the fences. And that can be done many times a day. And you do not need to even to look at that. And you just let the drone do their job. If there's something happening, the drones may send you a warning signals. Okay, now we should go there and check what's happening. But otherwise, if everything is fine, it's just automatically done. So this is one of the cases we are doing, and I think drones has been used for security surveillances in many other sectors. For example, the building, construction environment, or even those confined areas to check what's happening inside there. They are one of the common user cases in this area.
Is it for security, or is it also because you mentioned that they actually don't have a control tower that you normally have at an airport? Is it also part of replacing the control tower to use drones?
Not in that sense, because the control tower is for the flight takeoff and landing. So it is for that purposes. The control tower is not, the task is not to check the parameter security, that's the task of the airport staff to do that. Since the tower is remote now, there's no tower, there's no people working at the tower. You only have the ground people to take care of those other tasks. So for airport security, of course, will be the utmost factor. Not only for the airplane itself, but also you need to prevent anyone enter the airport without permission. And also you need to, especially in the small regions, you also need to take care of if there are birds or animals that are going into the airport, or those are maybe a dangerous factor for the air flight. So that's why you have to do this parameter security control all the time, and it's required by the regulations actually. So it's both for the safety of the airport, the security of the airport, and by using the electric drones, you also contribute to the emission-free airport. So I think the regional airports has their visions to be emission-free, and you have to work on every aspect to replace the diesel vehicles or those factors using electrical vehicles or other types of emission-free methods to do their job.
This is up north in Sweden. How do they drones cope with the winter weather? Is that a problem or?
Yes, it is. We know in this related to another project I was running, or RISE is running the Nordic Drone Initiative. One of the factors that we are looking into there is the weather factor, because this is a unique factor in the Nordic countries. We have a cold, long winter, and when the drones are flying in such a low temperature, and especially sometimes maybe ice on the wings, or you need defrozen methods, for example, and we have to take investigate solutions to tackle this. This is the factor, because the temperature will affect the lifetime of the battery. And the wind will also affect the lifetime of the battery, because you will need to spend much energy to combat with the wind. For example, we have when we fly in the airports for the test purposes, when it is windy, you can see the battery consumption. You can feel it already. It consumes much more power compared with in normal time. So that is something we have to take if we are going to take using drones in the Nordic environment. And that is under investigation, especially the Finnish Institute of VTT has some labs to test those factors.
And now we touch on something really interesting that I would like to explore a little bit, and that's the interaction between the drones and the rest of the physical world, because there will be a need for the drone to, in rural areas, as to say, there might need to be a charging station somewhere en route, because the distance will be too long otherwise. So you will need to exchange, you will need to go almost intermodal. Maybe drop off the package to a delivery bicycle or something else. I don't know. There might be several different use cases where drones need to interact with other parts of the system. So what's going on in that space at the moment?
I think this part, it will be related to several factors, as you say. They will be multi-mode. It will be about integration. It cannot be just the drones to do something. It is part of the bigger delivery chain. It is taking the last mile, but then you have to integrate these new solutions into the current existing delivery chains and see how we can reuse part of the infrastructure there, and how the delivery companies can integrate drones into their delivery chains. I think, for example, Amazon has been looking into this, but I think it works quite slow, I think, for Amazon. DHL has been looking in this also, but I think they dropped this solution in 2020, if I remember right. So there are definitely difficulties there. And now what we want to investigate as part of research is also how do we integrate today's the store that is there. In our project, ICA is there. We want to look into this because they want to know they are very curious about the new solution, but they need to understand how this can fit into the current system. It's not like they are going to solve the puzzle. They are just a part of the solution for the whole system. And also, another thing is the municipality. If they want to provide good services to their citizens, especially considering the fact that people are moving out of the city to more rural areas, how do you provide equal services to the people living outside, like the people who live in the city? The infrastructure planning will be part of the deal. I think you probably there you can see a lot of handbook or developing planning for the rural areas in the region. Infrastructure will be part there. I think they probably need to consider this. Same thing as the electrical vehicles, because electrical vehicles need infrastructure. Drones will need also infrastructure, and the drones will be the future, and it's the time to plan the infrastructure also.
And when we're talking about rural areas, I know that you have a project at RISE about using drones to support cycling in rural areas. What is the aim of that project? Yeah,
that's also a good example. It's a Skara Guardian Angel project, Skara Skydd project. This is a brilliant idea actually from the municipality. We want to help the people to take more active mobility. Using bicycles or walk or those emission-free mobility. But we have a fact in Sweden or in all the Nordic region, we have almost 6-7 months is completely dark in the evening, and it can be also cold. But how do we deal with that? I mean, you want people to take their bicycles, but the bicycle road is completely dark, and at the same time, there is a increasing sense of the insecure. You do not feel like going out in the evening in the darkness. And we see the difficulties about this, and the municipalities, they are very active to promote the active mobility. They have been working on the Interreg project in Skara. There is a tourist site every year. Many people go there. They really try to introduce the shared bicycles, electric bicycles, to let people take the bicycle. But they also know the obstacles there. In the winter time, in dark times, they have built very good roads, but there's no road lighting infrastructure. And in the near future, it won't be possible to build the infrastructure because it costs really a lot. And the traffic is in the evening is not so heavy. It's probably not worthwhile like cities to build the fixed infrastructure. So they come out with the idea, why is it possible to use the drones for such purposes? And then we started to brainstorm and to build the project, and that was the story. So the project itself is trying to investigate if the on-demand digital infrastructure could be part of the methods to encourage people to be more active in the mobility for their daily mobility. For example, if you are got out of the work in the evening clock around 5 when it's dark, you can book a drone and you wait there. And the drone comes lighting up the road, and you start bicycling home. And when you enter the city where all the lights is on already, and you say, I finished my trip, and the drone will go home to the warehouse automatically. But this is, of course, not that simple. We have to investigate the acceptance. Of course, the first step, of course, we need to build the solution. We have another department in RISE that are good at building drones. And then the next step is to investigate if this is the viable solution, how the people will perceive such a solution. And so all the solutions has to be human-centered. We need to understand you need lighting. Is this type lighting possible? If this types of lighting appropriate for you? And how does the noise of the drones will affect your acceptance? And is that the companion drones will improve your sense of security? Or do you want more applications in the drones? For example, if you feel something dangerous, or you can call the emergency services or things like that. I mean, it's a digital infrastructure. Once you have the infrastructure in place, you can do a lot of things. So this is the difference compared with the fixed infrastructure. You install lights, you have to maintain it. And there is nothing more you can do, but you just spend money on that. But you have a digital infrastructure, you can do a lot of things with that. And if you are not using the drones for the lighting at this time, the drones may be used for other purposes. This is all about the planning of the resources. I think this way we will through this project to understand is it the possibility to use such future-oriented digital infrastructure as part of the city planning for certain regions that have special needs and for cost-efficient solutions.
So your friendly neighborhood drone, basically, that could help out with a number of different things.
Yeah.
I like that idea, actually, because I can see a number of sort of tasks that could be outsourced to a drone within a municipality or a specific residential area, for instance.
Yeah.
So it looks really cool.
And also that you don't only reduce the emissions, but you can also reduce the light emissions that we actually have in society. I think that's really cool. I like biking and moving around, so I hope it will go well. Looking into the future, we have had a great number of different innovations or systems that has, you haven't seen them, and then all of a sudden they are all over the place, like Uber, Airbnb, Voi, and what can we expect with drones? If we look into the future and you do a guesstimation about what the future will look like, when will they be part of everyday life?
That's true. We see those disruptive things happen very fast. Uber or e-scooter or thing, they have been very successful. But I think they also probably built on several years or many years of preparations. The drone industry has been prepared for quite many years in different areas, although quite scattered. But I think with the current regulation in place, the harmonized airspace regulation is building up, and also the maturity of the drone solutions. I think it is happening now. In other countries, for example, in Iceland, they have been delivering coffee or those hot food for some time. In Finland, Wind has been operating in Finland, in US, in Australia, as you mentioned earlier. And Manna is an Ireland company. They have been operating this for quite a long time, and they are expanding to the US market and also European now, which means this is happening, and this is at the stage of taking off. And in Sweden, we want this probably also being part of our delivery chain. And the small company that we are working with, they have the ambition to be one of the operators for the last mile delivery with drones. And I'm expecting actually after our project, everything is validated and the acceptance has been studied, we could expand to other regions that have similar geographic or demographic characteristics. And to expand, of course, this will need a lot of investment or other related issues. But I think it is we are going to see those things very soon in Sweden also.
So we're looking forward to the future, and we are very much appreciate the guidance that we have gotten from Lei. And if you're interested to know more about drones and the projects that we've been talking about, you will find all the links in the show notes. Thank you so much, Lei, and thank you for listening.
Thanks very much.
Bye bye.
Gillar du Logistikpodden så glöm inte att gå in på www.logistikpodden.se och signa upp dig för vårt nyhetsbrev. Så får du alltid information om när nya avsnitt har dykt upp. Gå också in på Facebook, LinkedIn och Instagram och gilla oss och dela och kommentera så att vi kan fortsätta att leverera det du vill höra om logistik.
Logistikpodden.